Hello. I'm James and I live in Manchester in the UK. And you're listening to English with a Brew, a podcast where I talk about different day-to-day topics to help you learn English the most natural way possible. And that is only by listening to it. If you want to support this podcast, read transcripts and get exclusive access to more content, go to patreon.com/English with a Brew. So, as we say in Manchester, get a brew on and let's get started. Hello everyone, it's great to be here with you today again. In this episode, I'm going to talk about motivation. Motivation is something a little difficult to describe. Motivation is a feeling that you need when there is something you want to do, but you think that thing might be a little difficult or hard to do. Anything that takes some amount of effort needs some amount of motivation. For example, learning a language requires a lot of motivation because it's not easy and it takes years. But your motivation is the reason that you do it and continue to do the work to improve. When we talk about motivation, we can talk about motives. And motives are the reason that somebody does something. Anything. But motivation and motives are not always good. Sometimes the things that motivate us can be bad, or sometimes it's not clear and it can be complicated or ambiguous. For example, one common situation in which you hear the word motive a lot is detective or crime films or TV series. If there has been a murder, if someone has killed someone else, the detective or detectives usually look for the murderer by seeing which people had a motive or motives to kill them. Another thing that can motivate people is money. Maybe you can earn a lot of money by doing something. Or you might be motivated by the idea of looking good or impressive in front of other people. But of course, as well as bad motives or complicated motives, there are good motives too. Maybe the idea of helping other people gives you motivation. Or maybe you're motivated by your own creativity and your desire to create things for the world to see and enjoy. Or maybe just for yourself to see and enjoy. So it's very important when you do something, anything, to consider what is motivating you to do it. Because if you understand what your motivations are in life, there is a better chance that you will achieve your goals and that you will live a happier life as a happier person. And if you start to lose your motivation, what are some ways that you can stay motivated? I feel like I have said this a lot on this podcast, but once again, exercise, moving your body and doing any type of physical activity is a great and a scientifically proven way to increase your energy levels and your motivation. Sometimes, depending on what it is that you want to do, you can find a person to do it with. For example, if you want to go to the gym regularly, If you go with a friend and you say, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m., let's go to the gym together, it's more difficult to avoid doing it, to avoid going to the gym. Another way to stay motivated, or maybe to trick yourself into being motivated, is to set deadlines. And a deadline is when you tell yourself, I need to do this thing by this specific date. For example, I need to complete this project at work by Friday. And having a clear deadline with some kind of consequence, a thing that happens if you don't do the thing that you need to do, can help to create a sense of urgency. These are just some ways, but as always, it's important to remember that what works for you might not work for somebody else, and vice versa, because everybody is different. And also, by the way, before I go, remember this: nobody can be motivated all the time. We all have bad days and we all have good days. So if you have a bad day or a bad week or even a bad month, it's extremely important, it's vital that you are easy on yourself. And on that dramatic note, that's it for today's episode. So I'll see you soon. That's everything for today's episode of English with a Brew. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you did or if you didn't, and tell me what topics you'd like to hear me talk about in future episodes. And don't forget, if you want to support this podcast and get access to all of the exclusive episodes, you can do that on my Patreon page. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time it is where you are right now. Take care.